Greetings and salutations. It is the incredibly creatively and appropriately named Query and Schultz program here on ISC Sports Network. My name is Chick Query. That is Derek Schultz. And once again, Derek, it is freezing here in the studio, and so therefore I am wearing an extra layer. And if on television it makes me look fat, it means I'm going to be upset with you.
That shirt just looks baggy a little bit on you. If anything, that shirt makes you look skinny.
Are you sure?
It's like kind of there's a lot of extra room, I feel like, in here that you're not filling. Then again, like I have like really chiseled pecs, so it's different for me. I fill out like every shirt and shoulders.
Speaking of which, I want to show for those that are unfamiliar here, and how are you? Thank you for joining us here. Over the weekend, Derek became a multimedia television star because here on the ISC Sports Network, he was serving as the sideline analyst for the Monon Bell game. Now, I got up on Saturday and was super excited to see Derek. And here you can see, and there's a lot you can critique here. Okay, first off,
there's nothing you can critique.
We don't have a telestrator here, so you can't see what I'm doing. But the beard, like is this your bottom lip or what's going on here? Is that your bottom row?
Yeah, I guess I didn't trim the top enough. Maybe I should trim out the top a little bit more.
Are you wearing gloves?
Yes.
What's this over here?
Those are actually my work gloves from Amazon, and I did put them inside out. They're the warmest gloves I've ever had in my life.
Really?
Like, I've had, like, nice gloves before. These are $5 Amazon gloves.
Is this a navy pea coat or, like, a dress coat? What is it? I mean,
Men's Warehouse dress coat. Yep.
Well, the coat
medium.
looks nice. Mm-hmm. But, you look freezing.
It was cold.
Are you wearing a yarmulke?
No, that's the building, top of one of the buildings that's right there.
Yeah. Now, I watched the Monon Bell game here on ISC Sports Network for a great part of the game. Clemson was on, and I was flipping back and forth. But here's the thing. I watched, and look, the Monon Bell game is a great tradition. It's one of the great, everybody should go to it at least once. But I was watching the whole time to see you.
So were a lot of people.
Right. And I never saw you. Now, this is verifiable proof that you were there, unless this is Photoshop.
No, it's real.
When this was taken from
This was pregame. So pregame, I did like a little 2-minute, hey, it's been 729 days. I talked to both head coaches this week. You know what I mean? Like, I've watched a lot of games. I've never done sidelines for a game before, ever. So I was like, I'm just going to take all the knowledge I have.
The better question is, have you still?
Yeah, well, watching sideline reports and do that. And then I did both coaches at halftime.
Okay.
And then we did at least one interview. I think we just did one interview. I tried to get Liam Thompson from North Central, who's the quarterback at Wabash, and he's up on some dude's shoulders. Somebody had a thing of Fireball out there in the scrum at Monon. Okay. So I was like, I'm going to let them kind of enjoy their moment and not interrupt that.
Well,
not that they would have heard me anyway.
If I had seen you, Derek, you would have catapulted to the best sideline reporter that I saw all weekend, because the only other sideline report I saw was during the Colts game against the Jacksonville Jaguars when the gal at the beginning of the game referenced quarterback Andrew Wentz.
Oh, did she? I actually feel bad that, sometimes you mess up.
Andrew was the name of the fella doing the play-by-play, and I think she got confused.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of this game, Don Morell, who's the head coach of Wabash, I wanted to say congrats on a great season, and I think I said thanks. And thanks for a great season. Like, I have no emotional tie to Wabash or to Paul at all, but I thought it was kind of awkward to say thanks.
Now,
but
were you cold here?
I was, yeah. Something that I've just kind of learned about this business, you've been in this business for a long time, Jake, is that sex sells. So when you have something like this that you can put in front of viewers, that's obviously the rivalry itself is going to draw viewership. But if you really want to kind of get eyeballs, if you want to arouse viewers, this is the type of thing that you have to kind of put on there.
Okay. The Colts and Jaguars yesterday was anything but arousing or sexy. But Colts now 500, Derek. Here's the analogy that I gave. I know you love my analogies. Beating the Jaguars is kind of like a TV dinner. Like when you're really hungry, you can't leave the house, you're starving, and you're like, you know what, I got a TV dinner here. You eat it. Afterwards, you're like, well, I guess I ate dinner, and I'm not hungry anymore. And then you look at the nutritional information, and you're like, that was complete garbage that I just ate, but at least I got it out of the way, and I'm done with dinner.
Empty calories. Yeah.
Empty calories. That's pretty much what that game was, right?
It is. Here, instead of using an analogy, I'll say this. It's a win and get the hell out game. Just win, escape, find a way, get out. And Jacksonville, Tennessee and Houston have had a lot more success than Jacksonville. You ask any Colts fan, which team is the biggest headache to play in the division? Am I right in saying it's Jacksonville?
Right.
By far, historically speaking. Now, I know that there have been some really bad Jacksonville teams, and this year's team isn't a good one either, even though they have a competent defense. But they're just always – these games are always a grind. But I think I texted you during it yesterday. It was just that second half just dragged on. And weirdly, every single important Colts player, Kenny Moore, Quentin Nelson, Darius Leonard, all required medical attention on the field and stoppage of play, yet they emerged from that game, I don't think, with any injuries.
Okay, couple of things here. Number one, I commend people that go down each and every Sunday to watch the Colts because there's just so much stoppage time and the games take so long, man. It is such a time investment of just like, I
mean, some games are just really entertaining, and I think, strangely, that 49ers Sunday night game was like a really fun, entertaining game. And you have, I mean, there's 17, right? So you're going to have some bad games. And this was just, it was a poorly played game. We could talk about the defenses and all of that, but I just thought it was two quarterbacks really struggling.
And here's, okay, let's get to this first before we really get heavy into the Colts stuff. I am admittedly probably a biased Trevor Lawrence defender, only because I saw Trevor Lawrence as a Clemson fan. I watched him every single snap he took in college, okay? Trevor Lawrence is the closest that I've seen, like, as a collegiate player coming into the NFL. And a scout, I am not. But he had Peyton Manning, or has, level. I mean, he's 6'6", he can run, he can extend plays, he's got a great arm. And I've seen plenty of criticism of Trevor Lawrence off that game yesterday. Derek, he has no help. I mean, he's got a competent running back. That's it. His receivers get no separation. He's getting flushed constantly. The fact that he isn't like, I mean, he is like a David Carr level rookie in terms of protection. He has nothing. Am I off base here?
I think it's just hard. In year one, the only thing that I look for with these young quarterbacks, and this is regardless of who they're heralded to be or whatever else, because these guys, Trevor Lawrence is viewed as a different prospect than, let's say, Mac Jones. Just flash. You know what I mean? Every once in a while. Like Justin Fields, great example, right? Justin Fields overall, if you look at some of the numbers, it hasn't been great, but he's really flashed. And you see some flashes or some throws from Trevor Lawrence, and you're like, okay, he can probably do this. And I can't judge somebody on the first half of his first year in today's NFL.
I mean, Peyton Manning is a rookie, set the record for rookie picks, right?
Yeah. And then the next year you saw right away, oh my God, like this guy's going to be something. Right. But it takes generally a while. And you get into certain situations, like if you airdrop Trevor Lawrence on New England's roster and you take Mac Jones and put him on Jacksonville, you know what I mean? Like it's a completely different set of circumstances.
Okay, let's get to the Colts in terms of getting this win. We'll begin with Derek, what they did well. I think for the first time we saw some signs of life in a pass rush. With the young players that Chris Ballard has selected to be pass rush linemen for the Colts. For the first time, we got a little glimpse maybe of what these guys can do.
Yeah, and defensively, really outside of a 66-yard run? Really outside of that big play, for the most part, I thought they did a good job of kind of containing everything that Jacksonville was going to do. I love that Kwity Paye got his first sack. That was great. Dio as well got his first sack. So, that's kind of the young pass rush that you're hoping to kind of see come together or come to fruition for the Colts. So I like a lot of what they did defensively. I was frustrated offensively. I voiced some of those frustrations on Twitter, and people were like, well, they gave up 6 points to Buffalo last week. Yeah, they also gave up 30-plus in 4 other games. Like, look, Jacksonville's defense is competent. They're not the 85 Bears. And I just thought, really, after that 17-0 lead, 8 of 9 drives they punted, right? And really, not only did they punt on the end of those drives went nowhere. Like, they just got the ball, went 3 plays, gave it right back. So I thought it was a really frustrating afternoon for the offense. But, again, Jake, something that I was encouraged by was I think Frank Reich had a good feel for what kind of game that was going to be. And there were 2 fourth and short situations where he easily could have gone for either one. The opening drive, fourth and goal at the 3, I think?
Right.
And then right before half, it was 4th and 2 at like the 19-yard line. So they were in the red zone. And both times he elected to go for the points. And you know me, I'm go for it guy, but I thought that was the kind of afternoon where you just kind of take what you can get.
Is part of that, Derek, Did Frank Reich feel okay with being a little bit more conservative in that because he knows who he's going against?
Yes. But again, that goes back to feel for the game, right? This whole discussion, and I don't want to get too far down like the rabbit hole here. This whole discussion about analytics versus old school football, people think it's one thing or the other when in reality it's kind of a marriage of both. Like I very much believe in the feel of the game and calling it. I don't believe in taking a binder and saying I should go for it because this binder says to go for it. And I think you need to kind of have a balance there. And I thought the Colts did a good job balancing those.
You
things.
mentioned the 85 Bears, by the way. I did not realize this. I had lunch the other day with Wally Levitt. And Wally just watched a documentary on the 85 Bears. There was something that took place. I don't know why I didn't even know this, but I found it fascinating. The 85 Bears, when they won the Super Bowl, is ballyhooed probably of any team since then. We talk about the 85 Bears, 85 Bears. When it happened, there were very few victory laps for the 85 Bears. There was no, like, massive, huge endorsement and appearing on Johnny Carson and all that at that time. Do you know why?
No idea.
I was alive for this.
I mean, the Super Bowl shuffle, that was a pretty big deal.
It was huge, but the Super Bowl shuffle, by the way, and how
But that wasn't a paid thing, right? That was just the team deciding to do that?
The Super Bowl shuffle was done, if you recall, the Bears ain't doing it because they're greedy. The Bears were doing it to feed the needy. That was for charity. They came out with that.
I didn't realize that.
They came out with that in, like, October, before the Super Bowl.
Gotcha.
So, like, they were doing the Super Bowl shuffle. I remember Marshall Gephardt's Super Bowl party. We all had to lip sync the Super Bowl shuffle because it'd been out for so long. We knew it that well. Think about that. Before the Super Bowl even played, they had that song out.
Wow.
But they won the Super Bowl, the 85 Bears, and the 86 Super Bowl. 2 days later, space shuttle explosion.
Yeah, no, I did know that.
And
that
so
timeline, yeah.
They became, like, back page story,
Wow.
understandably and rightly so,
Yeah.
48 hours later. And yet here we are 36 years later. And by the way, 35 years ago today, Beastie Boys' License to Ill was released.
God, we are getting old. How about this? Next
I'm
week?
already old.
I think it's next week, or maybe it was the week after that. 20 years since the Jim Mora playoffs ran. That was 01.
Come on.
Yeah.
I recall that. Okay, let me tell you this. I was working at Channel 6.
You were in the room for that, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Tim Bragg was the reporter for Channel 6. I was kind of a producer at the time. And Tim Bragg is the one that asked the question. If you listen to it closely, you can hear Tim Bragg say, you're probably going to have to win out now to make the playoffs. And that's when Moore goes, what was that? You're probably going to have to win out to make the playoffs. I don't talk playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? Tim Bragg was the one that asked it. I got back to the station, and Mark Flesner and Paul Castanoli were the tape operators and master control. And this was back in the days when we would satellite stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
And there were already, and that was kind of my job as the producer type, is to go back and feed tape to ESPN and whatever else. And I can't tell you how many TV stations had already called and were like, can we get a copy of this, of the raw tape? And so I beamed it out to SportsCenter. And I remember thinking at the time, like, because they had gotten shellacked in that game, the Colts.
They had like 4 or 5 turnovers, I think. Niners, right?
4 interceptions.
Yeah.
3 for a touchdown. You ain't going to beat anybody that just talked about. Anybody. So, I knew that there was some juicy sound from Mora, but I didn't realize in the moment or even as I was feeding it out that this was going to become the viral moment of his career. That was 20 years ago, huh?
Yeah.
I guess you're right, actually, because it was Manning's, second year?
Manning's 4th year.
Okay.
So it was Mora's
He had
last
Mora
year
that
before
long.
Dungy.
Yeah.
98, 99, 2000, 01. Because remember, 99, they won the division, won 13 games. 2000, they went back to the playoffs. And so, it was kind of let the good times roll with Mora. The first 3 years, they were kind of going like this. And then Edge got hurt in 01 in defense of Mora. And I think the season just kind of disintegrated after that.
This season is doing the opposite of that, Derek. It looks like the Colts might have some footing here. And the real challenge now, though, because the Colts are finally at 500. They're 5-5. They dug themselves a hole to begin the season. But now, Derek, now is when it gets real, right?
Yeah, these next two, I think we're going to kind of learn a lot about that.
And Frank Reich had said after the game, what he said was something that I thought to myself, yes, but I don't know how likely. And we'll explain that, and we'll get into where the Colts go from here. A lot to get to today, including our IMCU Indiana Members Credit Union Player of the Week. We will do that next, as well as Love That Play, brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. It's all coming up here on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Welcome back to Corey and Schultz on this lovely Monday. It's actually not lovely at all. It's like 34 degrees. It's kind of awful. The Colts won, so that's good, but it kind of became winter overnight. My kid was like, Daddy, snow. Let's go outside. Oh. And so I went all the way. We walked all the way through Midtown, like to Patachou, and then all the way up Penn and kind of all around our neighborhoods, the mansions, because I like to pretend like I live there. And it was actually kind of fun, but I was freezing.
Was this before or after your son was excited to possibly see me on television?
Well, yeah, there was that too. So on Saturday night, my wife worked all weekend. So James was at my parents' place in Carmel, and they watched the game on my NDY on an ISC, the Monon Bell game, to look out for me. And they're like, James, there's Daddy, or whatever else, you know. And so I get back, and James goes, Daddy, we saw you on the football game. And I said, oh, yeah, cool. You know, was it did you see Daddy? You know, or did you see Daddy, I think is what it was. And then he said, yeah, I saw you with your friend Jake. That's what he always says, your friend Jake. And I said, well, no, buddy, Jake wasn't there. It was just the commercial, because the Corey and Schultz commercial actually played in the broadcast of the game. And I go, Daddy was, you know, actually there. So it was pretty cool to see me, right? And he goes, no, Jake's cool. And I was just like, what is that? Everyone in my family, and really everybody that I meet, which is just extremely frustrating and something that I've lived with for a long time, and I don't really understand it, just thinks that you're like the greatest. And I don't know what people see that I don't see, or what, I guess I think what I see that other people don't see, because I see the behind-the-scenes stuff, and it's a little bit different than what you see with the cameras when the lights are on and all of that.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. No. Well, I've heard you talk to customer service reps on the phone for credit card companies and for airlines. And folks,
you once told me.
Ooh,
you once told me that
it ain't pretty.
You admired the way that I was.
There have been one or two times in my life where I've dealt with customer service where I've gotten to the point where I wish I was Jake Query right now, because I would put this person in their place, because they got a little snippy with me when everything was their fault. But yeah, my son and my dog and my parents, everybody just thinks you're the greatest.
Well, they're all very smart people. By the way, Derek, very smart people, if they want to get one of the mansions on Meridian that you're talking about, or whatever home it might be, Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lending is the place to turn, right?
Yep, Indiana's mortgage lender, and they do mortgages in a snap with Jeff Saturday. And you see those commercials during our broadcast with Jeff Saturday, as well as Walker with Mike's son. BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME.
Phone number again?
You can go at 855-350-HOME. and you can go into any one of their 13 Indiana branch locations.
Okay.
And that's the important thing on this show. We want to focus on Indiana, right? So
Correct.
Indiana Members Credit Union, Bailey and Wood, all these places, American Dairy Association, Indiana, Hoosier-centric. So you can go anywhere to get your mortgage. Why not keep it in state with folks that are right in your neighborhood in Bailey and Wood Financial Group?
The Colts are now in the neighborhood of the playoffs. They are 500. They're 5-5. Frank Reich said after their win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, Derek, that, why not us? Can we make a run? And what I have said, and I've said this to you before in other areas or avenues, when I was a high school student, and a very average one at best, I was basically 5-5 as a student.
Me too.
I recall my dad saying to me, Jake, when you get into college, it's going to get real, and you need to become a better student. And I said, Dad, when I get into college, it's a whole – I'm going to flip the switch. It's a whole different game. It didn't really work out well for me. If you've seen the Colts playing against the New York Jets in the playoffs the one year with Manning, but in Dungy's first year. But my point being, Derek, you become a creature of your habits. Mm-hmm. And it's very difficult to break away from those habits. So the question is, I guess if you were to look at it both ways, you could make the argument that the Colts' record at 5-5 and the hole that they had to dig out of is not because of their own habits as much as just a lot of difficulty in circumstances and scheduling around them. The other would be they are a team that shoots themselves in the foot, takes unnecessary risks, and that's what's put them in this situation. And it's going to be difficult to shake themselves of those habits in order to try to make the playoffs. They have no margin for error now. To you, which team are they? The team that is the victim of bad circumstances to start, or the team that put themselves in this position?
Well, it's actually kind of a combination of both. But if you're asking me, are the Colts more a playoff caliber team or a 7-11 type team, or 7-10? Sorry, 17 games. I'm still trying to get the math right. It sounds so stupid. I would say absolutely the former, because I feel like this is a playoff caliber team. The detractors will say, look, the Colts haven't beaten anybody. That's true. But in today's NFL, where the Cardinals have been run by the Panthers, I know they didn't have Kyler, the Titans lost to the Jets, the Bills lost to the Jaguars, at the very least, Jake, the Colts have avoided a horrific loss.
And
so I think just taking care of business against the lesser teams actually should be worn as a badge of honor.
Here is a huge benefit for the Colts yesterday. Okay? Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, the Chargers.
Yeah, what's happened to the Chargers?
The Raiders,
Oof.
The Broncos. There's 6 teams right there. You know what those 6 teams have in common?
They all lost or tied?
None of them got a win.
Yeah.
So as the Colts get this win over Jacksonville, everybody else in that, and there, believe me, there's a traffic jam.
Yeah.
In the AFC, trying to merge into the wild card lane.
I've got the list here. Essentially, it's 8 teams for 3 spots.
Yeah, and so the Colts for a long time there were like on that. They were in the far right lane. Somebody just finally let them over, and now all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, they have the opportunity to keep merging here, but the schedule is not going to be easy. There are 3 huge games for them: Tampa, New England, the Raiders. New England and the Raiders you basically have to get, because they're conference games. Now, New England, and I'm going off the top of my head, but I'm thinking here between New England, Miami, the Jets. Oh, well, the Bills obviously are going to win that division.
New England's 6-4, and the Bills I think are 6-3, so they've already had the bye.
So you got to get between those 3 games. You need to get 2 of the 3, and at the very worst, you need at least one of those to. I'm sorry, you need 2 of the 3 between Tampa, New England, and the Raiders. At the very best, those 2 would be against the 2 AFC teams, right?
Well, yeah, for tiebreaker purposes and all of that. I think the way that you look at it, more than saying, okay, they need this game or that game.
They got to finish 5-2, right?
There might be a path for them at 9-8. But, yeah, 5-2, you would feel really good about their chances.
10-7 overall.
I would say, and I'm not a mathematician, I would give the Colts like an 80% chance of making the playoffs at 10-7.
I would agree with
Just
that.
given what I think how the rest of it – it's going to depend on where the wins come, but I think given how the rest of it lays out, that's how
I think 10 is where
That's what
That's
you
the
always
magic
want.
number.
That's what you always want is to get to 10.
Now, the
Not
one
leave it
thing
up to
that
chance.
the Colts will have, of course, and they will have each and every week, is a Player of the Week, Derek.
Mm-hmm.
Brought to you by the Indiana Members Credit Union, our IMCU Player of the Week. We talked, Derek, about local. We love local. It's one of the things we love about IMCU, right?
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's got Indiana in the name, so you know that it's obviously local. But free checking accounts, and they even do auto rates. So you can check out everything that they can offer you at imcu.com.
In terms of our IMCU Player of the Week, Derek, your nominee would be who?
I actually took one a little outside of the normal Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, whatever rotation that we've had here. How about Zaire Franklin? Special teams captain.
Fair.
This is his second year. Blocks a punt and then has a big tackle for loss, I think, on the ensuing series, Jacksonville series. And, you know, a guy that you need guys like this at the back of your roster that are special team standouts and
That
are
are
also
okay with
depth,
being that, right?
and are also depth guys. And so in a pinch, you can throw Zaire Franklin out there and not feel like he's going to be a liability for you. But I just love his story. 7th-round pick in 2018, and he's stuck this long with his team. You know, there are very low percentage odds that as a 7th-round pick, you're still playing for the team that drafted you in season 4. But he's carved out a nice niche for himself.
Did you go to or watch the game?
I watched it. I was offered tickets again.
So then
but-
you might have noticed Zaire Franklin, who played collegiately at
Syracuse?
Correct. And, of course, because the guy doing play-by-play on CBS is also a Syracuse grad, immediately he had to say, Zaire Franklin, product of Syracuse.
Great, yeah.
But in this case, Zaire Franklin, product of Syracuse, because not only you got the block, because you got the tackle Derek talked about, but also because you got to love guys that just want to make plays when their number is called. That's why Zaire Franklin is our player.
You know,
IMCU player
another
of the week.
school, and you've got a tie here because you lived in that state, the only place where you've been away from mommy and daddy for a long time.
Now, wait a
Mizzou.
minute. Now, wait a minute. How long have you been away from mommy and daddy?
Long time. 17 years?
Derek, your parents, they live 5 blocks away from you.
Jake, from 2001 until 2017,
No.
they were on the other side of the country.
No, you came to IU. Your parents are from Indiana, and they immediately
Okay,
moved here.
let's compare timelines, okay? So 2001, I leave to go to Indiana. August
Same-
of 2001.
same time I left
my
the state.
parents moved here in the summer. Actually, they moved here in the summer of 16 because Ashley was pregnant with James.
Okay.
So summer of 2016. So 15 years essentially away. Your timeline. You go to Kansas for 8 months.
Yep.
Boo-hoo, I'm sad because I miss mom and dad. I'm going to come back and hang out with the same people that I've hung out with my entire life
Right.
and still do, and go to IU instead. I get a job in St. Louis.
Yep.
I confront Mark McGuire about what's in his locker, but for the most part, I'm like 2 years and out in St. Louis, and then I'm back home again.
New York. You forgot New York.
For your internship at the
Oh, yeah.
MTV Beach House
Yeah, I lived there.
for like 8 weeks.
I lived in New York. It's longer than that.
Spring, right? Of
Yeah.
94?
Here's the bigger question.
Well, summer of 94, because it would have been the Rangers
Summer
parade.
94, yes.
Yeah.
The bigger question would be, which life would be harder to peel one from? The one I enjoyed in Indianapolis in North Central High School, or the one you enjoyed getting pinned by girls in Trumbull High?
There was definitely a relief for me to leave and go 1,000 miles away.
And which child would parents more be willing to, want to have around? The company of, or
Oh, well, I'll let you in on a secret. I don't know about you and your family. I'm pretty sure you are. I am also the favorite.
no, I know.
I mean, when you're the
And
only boy.
And kidding aside, I realize
when you're the only son, I think you just automatically have that advantage.
I am as well.
I'm
Both
the oldest.
of us are fortunate to have great parents and great families. No doubt.
If you were to give me a time machine and I could go back at any time and make like things happen, I would have 11-year-old me in the summer of 94 meet 20-year-old you.
Oh,
Because I just think that dynamic. Because when I was in 5th grade,
that's basically what happened in 2012.
At the height of at the height of Knicks Pacers, I thought to myself, who the hell likes the Pacers? Like, what is this? Like, why are they doing this? And Reggie Miller, and because remember, they were on the brink of winning that series.
Yeah.
And when the Knicks got by the Bulls, it was this fait accompli that the Knicks were going to the finals. So I was like in shock during that summer when the Pacers pushed them so hard. But I was just so staunchly like anti. My parents were from Indiana, but in South Bend, no one.
Yeah,
people
it's
don't really
Michigan,
like
yeah.
the Indianapolis
You're right.
teams. It's more of a Chicago sort of thing. So I had no connection to the Pacers at all. You would have hated me. And I
Why-
would have hated you.
And that's different. That's any different than how?
Well, I mean, we're best friends now, so it's kind of funny how
If you think
it all
so.
comes full circle.
It is time for our Love That Play as well, brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. Derek had mentioned the fact that when I went away to college, the people that I grew up with and was around my entire life, that includes the great folks at Love Heating and Air. Here's the thing, though, folks. You don't have to have grown up with Chris and John to be treated like family. That's the way they treat all of their customers, and that's why Love Heating and Air has been around since 1920. Over 100 years, love-hvac.com is their website, 317-353-2141, the telephone number. That's 353-2141. Great customer service, dedication to customer service, great product, knowledge of product, and 24-hour on-call maintenance. Just some of the great aspects and benefits of Love Heating and Air Conditioning. Derek, our Love That Play brought to you by Love Heating and Air each and every week. Our favorite play from the weekend, your nominee is?
Did you see this play that UC Riverside beating Arizona State at the buzzer?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, 60-footer. But what impressed me the most, Jake, I mean, if you had a 60-footer, it's crazy at the buzzer. No bank, no rim. Went just buckets.
Here's
just
the thing.
went right down.
So Arizona State is at home, basketball. UC Riverside, was it Riverside?
Yeah. Highlanders, I think.
Is that what they are?
Yeah, kind of a lame.
Irvine is the Anteaters.
And then Banana Slugs is Santa Cruz.
Or
And Gauchos
is
is
Santa
Barbara.
Barbara. Correct.
Yeah.
So they're inbounding. There's only a couple of seconds left. UC Riverside's
1.7.
down 2 or down 1.
They're down 2.
So they inbound the ball, and the defender makes the mistake of lunging to try to intercept the pass, which, as he lunges, like out of the view, now the guy's got an open look. But he's only got time for like one dribble. And it was one dribble, Derek, and just
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
it wasn't a shot. It was just a push. It was a
to
heave.
me, defensively, all you're trying to do is keep the ball on that side of the court. So when the inbounds pass comes in, they're not throwing to the other side of half court where you actually have a chance to hit a 30-footer or something like that, right? So, you know, if a guy makes a 60-footer, a guy makes a 60-footer, like, what are you going to do?
I mean, that's fair.
I hear you,
It
though.
was an unbelievable
He did
shot.
try to steal the pass.
The thing that's crazy about when the kid from UC Riverside hit the shot for I Love That Play is the crowd. I mean, granted, it was at Arizona State, but first off, it looked like it was at a middle school. Yeah. The crowd in the camera angle looked like the video of J-Mac, the kid that went nuts in the high school game in New York several years ago. But except for that, when he hit the shot, like everybody just kind of was like, oh, okay. Like the UC Riverside team went nuts, but everybody else was just like, oh, okay.
I mean, I think there are certain schools where you're just like, it's just sports. Like, let's go get drunk. And Arizona State is absolutely one of those schools. Iowa's kind of one of those schools, though. But then again, Iowa's really into it.
You had the girl in Iowa,
But they do
remember?
Vodka Sam. 2 M's, Vodka Sam. Her BAC was like 3.1 or something.
Oh, it was worse than that.
Like, you should be dead.
It was worse than that.
Not 3.1, but it was like point
she was
3, wasn't it?
She was higher than that, buddy, I think.
0.3 something?
I'll look it up.
They tested her, and they were like, how are you speaking to me / moving, functioning right now? And then I think she had like a MySpace page, which got some attention for a while.
MySpace page.
Would it have been MySpace or maybe Facebook? I don't know.
She was the girl, a University of Iowa student that was arrested at a game, right?
Yeah. It was at Kinnick, and it was a night game. And she got arrested, and they did the testing. And, you know, they put it out on, like, the police blotter, like, Samantha, blah, 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 got a BAC. And some reporter must have seen it and been like, oh, my God.
I think
and then
it
went viral.
I think it was like 0.46 or something.
Let me look it up here real quick.
It was bad. I mean, bad enough that thankfully she was arrested and they probably got her stomach pumped before it all
so she
really
didn't
kicked
die,
in.
yeah.
Right. Derek's looking up the BAC
Here it is.
of
Vodka Sam
Sam.
says on national TV she no longer drinks or uses social media. Well, that's disappointing. The University of Iowa student who received national attention after being measured with a blood alcohol level of 0.341 in August told ABC's 2020 that she no longer drinks or uses social media. And this is a story from 2013.
That's disappointing, Derek says.
Well, you know, if you get notoriety for something, lean into it, right? Like, why would you stop?
Legality?
Well, she was of age. I don't think she was an underage.
Mortality? She was arrested, wasn't she?
Oh, I guess she was underage.
Yeah.
So when she was 22, she gave it up. Wow. I'm 38, and I would never give up social media. You can take it from my cold, dead hands.
Yeah, you running around with like a .3?
There was maybe a point in there was no way that I ever got to that level before, like, convulsing on the floor.
Take social media from my cold, dead widow hands.
Like, if Twitter charged $500 a month, I'd just be like, here you go. I have to. I need it. It sustains me. It's like water.
Why? Because you need to.
I can't. I love it. It's the first thing I check in the morning. It's the last thing that I check at night.
Okay.
I actually met some Twitter friends on.
Yeah,
in person.
What, you met some
friends that I've made on Twitter, so internet friends. I'd never met actually in person before, but met them last night.
Did it remind you of your dating days?
There were a couple that did, and this was kind of before internet dating became the norm. But AIM chat, AOL Instant Messenger. So Blondie Gal 83, I met through AIM chat.
And that did not go well.
She was a UDEL student, but she lived in Stanford. And Stanford is a short drive in Connecticut where I grew up. So I was like, one summer when I was home from IU, I was like, yeah, let's meet up. And I went, and it was at the Motel Hi-Ho off the Merritt Parkway.
Hi-Ho.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Hi-Ho.
Okay.
And I thought, this is promising, right? Because, when you're 19, that's what you're thinking.
Is that how you greeted her?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay,
no.
that's probably good.
And I pull up in the parking lot, and she was supposed to come by in a Celica. Do you remember when Toyotas made those?
Yeah. Hagen had a Celica.
We're in a red Celica.
Yeah, Chris Hagen.
And there was no red Celica that came, but another car came. I think it was like an old Jeep Grand Cherokee or some SUV, and it was full of girls. Like two up front and at least two in the back, if not three. And they did like a spin around in the park. The parking lot was empty. It had a big vacancy sign where the V was out, so it just said vacancy.
Right, yeah.
Because I remember. So I'm smoking cigarettes and waiting.
Smoking
in my
cigarettes
Accord,
and waiting,
as you do when you're 19. And they just kind of spun around, and I saw some of them laughing, and then they drove out.
Okay.
So I was thinking, this could be anybody. They might be laughing at a joke that they heard in the car or whatever else. But I think what they did was, will this guy actually show up? And then they packed in the car and then saw that I showed up and then pulled out. I never heard from Blondie Gal ever again.
Was Chris Hansen there?
No.
Okay.
No, she was a real student.
Okay.
At least old enough to drive.
Speaking of real, by the way, Indiana football's got some real problems. That and another recap of Derek's day with the Monon Bell. That's all upcoming here as we continue on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Meet Kate. She has a lot to juggle. Family, work. It can lead to trying days and tired nights. But we know Kate, and at Indiana Members Credit Union, we know at some point her space at a premium life may change. IMCU is here to help Kate and you find your space. Now, add on or remodel with an introductory rate of 1.9% APR on a home equity line of credit. Today, it's all about Kate. Tomorrow, it's all about you. Because at IMCU, it's you that matters.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
It is Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Thanks so much for joining us for another week. Jake has already left for his other job, so he's decided not to ever come back again, which is what some people have always feared on this show.
Right?
Just one day, he's just not going to show up. Just be like, you know what? I'm done. I'm a big radio star now. Or
You're the
radio
one
star again. I don't need to do this.
You're the one that used to walk out on our show every once in a while.
I did. Well, all those times it was warranted. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Chateau Kitchens. Well, let me think of what step I'm on now for Chateau. I think we have to pick out. I don't think we've done the fixtures yet.
Here, would you like?
I picked out a toilet. We picked out tile for the shower and for the floor.
You just.
I don't think we did the fixtures in the mirror yet for Chateau. But if you want
Does that
Chateau to
fit
work on your project,
on your head?
No, not really.
You have a larger cranium.
Yeah, it's pretty large.
What's your-
It's actually not so large as it is wide, like this way. Like this way is fine. It looks normal. Like
So it's
if I'm just
oblong.
there. But yeah, kind of like the toilet I chose was oblong.
Okay.
Is that what it's called? Where it's more. I have a
Commode?
I've tight buttocks, but the where it's less round and more. Is that oblong? Do they call it that? I think because I was like searching on the internet for toilets and I think oblong.
Did
is
you
one
have
of
to
them.
type in tight buttocks?
No, I didn't have to actually
Okay.
type that in. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
wanna
just
make
I
sure.
just knew that going in. I knew kind of what I was working with. So
Okay.
ChateauKitchens.com.
What's your hat size?
I don't remember. 7 3/4. Does that sound right?
That's a huge. That's a.
Okay. 7 3/4, I think, is what it was. You know, fitted caps are out now, and I don't really
Oh,
wear.
they are?
Yeah. Snapbacks have been in for a while now.
What about the one size like that?
This is okay, I think, because it's mesh.
Right.
But the straight
You know, these-
Fred Durst Limp Biscuit fitted hats kind of went out.
With the straight brim.
This would have been before that era, but yeah. Yeah, it's just sad. It's depressing. Like, look on the monitor there. Like, it's just.
Well, the lighting in here.
What are
makes
you
it-
doing,
I'm
Grandpa?
Very drowned out.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I picture.
What are you doing,
Somebody
Grandpa?
saying-
I did have
somebody saying
somebody
that
tell
to
me
me.
I was wearing a hat the other day, and somebody said, you're awfully gray in the temples." This
No,
and that.
I haven't noticed. Chateau Kitchens, ChateauKitchens.com. They've got their showroom up there as well on Carmel Drive. Is it Carmel Drive or Main Street? I got to remember. I know exactly where it is, and I'm trying to think. Let me look it up real quick. Sorry, I should have done that maybe during the commercial.
Website? Do you have a website for him?
Yeah, ChateauKitchens.com. And then also on Instagram and Facebook at Chateau Kitchens. Steven, Megan, the rest of that group are going to do great work for you because we're going to do every single project that on the inside of the house with Chateau, we've decided.
We are going to do in just a couple of minutes here our American Dairy Association of Indiana Winners Drink Milk Winner of the Week. But, Derek, I can assure you that it's not going to be anybody relating to this week, Indiana football. The bottom has fallen completely out for Indiana. And listen, I'm hesitant to say this because I don't want to pile on and be knee-jerk. But I think Tom Allen is a wonderful human being. I don't know him well, but people I know that know him well or played for him or knew him at Ben Davis can't say enough good things about him. And certainly, I think when he took over the Indiana program, he was the right guy to take over that program after Kevin Wilson and the issues that Kevin Wilson had. And last year they went to a bowl, and the trajectory has been upward. And so Tom Allen has earned benefit of the doubt with Indiana. But the problem with Indiana is Indiana has done this now with a couple of coaches, Derek, where I keep saying it this way. You know the song Paradise by the Dashboard Light from Meatloaf?
I would do anything.
That's Meatloaf, but Paradise by the Dashboard Light is Paradise by the Dashboard Light. We got to do what we can to mother. Come on. Ain't no doubt about it. We were
Dude, I
doubly
have no idea what this is.
because we were barely 17 and we were barely dressed.
Jordan, do you know that song? Yeah, I don't know, man.
Okay.
Meatloaf was
At any rate, the song Paradise by the
Anything for
Dashboard
Love.
Light is
Got
about
it.
a guy and his girlfriend, and she makes it, she basically says, like, look, we can go through with this, but, like, you got to promise to love me forever and marry me. And he's like, yes, done deal. Let's just, yes. He agrees to anything.
gotcha.
Indiana Athletics is the kid in the car in Paradise by the Dashboard Light. Yeah, sure, great. Yeah, yes. They overcommit themselves to things that are then difficult to live up to. They did it with Tom Crean, right? Oh, here he is. Let's bring him out. Have everybody cheer and yell. And with Tom Allen, and look, Tom Allen deserved a raise and a lot of praise. And I'm not saying that you're in a situation where you need to make a coaching change this year. But Indiana's put themselves in a situation, Derek, where even if they wanted to, they can't. His buyout is the 4th highest in college football. If you look at highest buyouts in college football, it's literally like Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, Jimbo Fisher, Tom Allen. $30 million it would cost him. Indiana has no choice here but to ride this out. My concern with Tom Allen has been that I think he's a wonderful guy, and I think that he checks every box except for in-game execution and X's and O's. The coordinator, the offensive coordinator, is probably going to be changed in Indiana, but who brought in the offensive coordinator? Whose decision was that? They're just, but Derek, you lose at home 38-3 to Rutgers. You lose at home 38-3 to Rutgers. 5 touchdowns they lost.
Yeah.
At home.
There are a lot of things you can excuse about this season. Saturday's performance is not one of them. Let's get this out of the way with Tom Allen. There's no way that you would fire him after this season.
I understand
anyway.
that. I get that. And look, the question becomes, Derek, was last year the bowl game or this year 2-8? Which one's the anomaly?
Well, don't forget, 2019 they had a really nice season too. So I know a lot of people want to focus on last year and say, well, was that a fluke? Well, what about 2019? Here's the thing about Indiana. They needed to get out of just being Kansas, right? They needed to get out of being the worst program in major college football. They needed to graduate to that level. And they did. They did that a long time ago. They did that under Kevin Wilson. You know, this program has made progress. It's at a snail's pace, but progress since like 2015 onward. I think they've made 4 bowl games in that span. And in the other seasons, they didn't really bottom out. They finished 5-7. They were fine. This is the first truly bad season that Indiana's had since 2011, Kevin Wilson's first year, where they went winless in the Big Ten.
Do you really not know that song?
No, I don't know that song. So I think that
will you love me?
I'm not going
will you
to
love me forever. Will you need me? Will you ever leave me? When you make me so happy for the rest of my life, I gotta make you my wife. I gotta know right now. You really don't know that?
No. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Before we go any further.
Okay, you can. I mean, you can keep singing if you want to. It's not going to ring a bell for me.
Do you want to sleep on it? No,
I don't want to sleep on
let
it.
me sleep on it.
Okay, please stop.
Baby,
All right,
let me
that's
sleep
enough.
on it.
Does your new show let you do this?
They don't.
Okay.
Everybody right now, my Twitter account is at Jake Query, JakeQuery. Can you just send me a tweet
No one knows that song.
while you're watching this and let me know if you know the song Paradise by the Dashboard Light?
60-plus-year-old IndyCar doinks are going to know that song because they defend you no matter what you do on this show. So those are the people that will come to your aid. With Tom Allen,
he's the one that called you
in Indiana, I still think there have been so many good things that have happened to the program over the last couple of years that one truly horrific, catastrophic, indefensible season is salvageable. But you have to give it back right away. I actually think that your Tom Crean comparison is an apt one because Crean's problem, and he never graduated from this, is that he brought Indiana back, and then it was all about, I don't want to hear where Indiana has come. I want to hear where they're going.
Right.
You know, and Tom Allen got Indiana here, right? 8 wins, 9 wins, and a couple of bowl games, and where they were even above like Rutgers and Maryland and some of these other teams in the Big Ten. But you need to kind of take that next step.
My concern is that Tom Allen is Tom Crean without the weirdness.
I think anyone has the right to be concerned about Tom Allen. But if you're asking me, gun to my head, Schultz, what is the most likely outcome for Indiana here moving forward? I think they settle back into that 5-7 win range.
But
I do. That's what I think Indiana football is going to be.
And that's fair. But the question is that worth what they're paying for it?
If you can,
they're paying him 4.5. What?
Yes. If you can consistently get to bowl games and then every 7 or 8 years have a year, it's hard because Indiana can't have a season like Northwestern because they don't play in that division.
What have I always said,
You
Derek?
can't have that season. It's impossible.
The thing about Indiana football, and you're right, the division doesn't help, but the thing about Indiana football and Purdue was when they had Bill Mallory and Joe Tiller respectively, their fan bases thought that they were then entitled to the next step up and that they needed to be in the Michigan State, Iowa tier.
Yeah.
Indiana needs to be happy with living in the Northwestern Minnesota tier, and occasionally having a senior-laden team that gets them into that Michigan
Yeah,
State
I agree. And obviously this team fell well short of even that level, and I think there was just a lot of positive momentum to be captured this year, and Indiana flushed it. But I don't think they flushed the whole program because this is going to be a 2-10 winless Big Ten season for them.
And again, as I had mentioned on the other side of it, Indiana can salvage their season now, perhaps not salvage it, but they can at least go off into the offseason with a little bit of a happy feeling if they're able to upset Purdue and get the bucket.
Oh, they're not. They're losing out. They've got no chance. No chance they're going to win either of the next two games.
You don't think they can beat Minnesota?
No. A team that lost by 35 points at home to Rutgers? No.
You seem
I
very
guess,
adamant.
I guess
I've never seen you this
weird
adamant
things
about
can happen, but yeah, no, Indiana's no good.
But if they were to beat Purdue because of the rivalry aspect of it, it would salvage something for them. Derek knows a little more now, has a greater appreciation about rivalry games because, again, to go back to it, during my time in Bloomington, I actually went to the Monon Bell game 4 times. Wabash won all 4. I had a lot of fun going to those games. You enjoyed it this weekend, right?
It was great. In my younger life, what attracted me to sports was my deep passion for my teams. So like the Knicks, the Giants, the Yankees, and are they winning? Are they losing? Now that I'm an adult and have kind of grown out of all of that, what really attracts me to sports is atmospheres. Like, look at this fella right here. It's 30 degrees outside, and they've got that going on. And it was a great atmosphere. There's just something, and I don't know, maybe it's, we're still kind of emerging in a post-COVID, at least from where it was in 2020 world with live sports again, where it still feels kind of like fresh and new to be in a packed stadium. But there's just something intoxicating about that atmosphere. Like, I have no dog in the fight. I'm just rooting to be entertained. But, Wabash came all the way back from down 21-0, and their fans were going nuts. I mean, it was a really, really cool, fun atmosphere. And it, pound for pound, Jake, it's the greatest rivalry in the state, right?
It is great.
At least from a passion standpoint.
No, it's great.
Like, literally, Wabash kind of had a disappointing season.
127th, right?
Wabash lost 3 games. But who cares? They won the bell.
Right.
DePaul had this great season where they won the league and they're going to the Division III national playoffs. But, no offense to them, who cares? You lost the bell game.
Well, it segues perfectly into our American Dairy Association of Indiana, of course, Winner's Drink Milk, winner of the week. We do this each and every week. Derek, do you happen to have the milk facts in front of you?
I do. Milk is cold and very delicious and good for you. And you should drink it, especially after you throw your ish around at the gym.
No.
There are your milk facts. Brought to you by
Low-fat
Schultz.
chocolate milk. Low-fat chocolate milk. It is essentially the same as eating multiple cups of spinach in terms of the vitamins. It has as many...
Yeah, raw spinach.
Raw spinach.
It's just raw.
It has as much protein as eggs, right?
2 hard-boiled eggs.
And as much
trying to remember
potassium as a banana.
Yes.
All of that right here in low-fat chocolate milk.
And as much folate. There was another one on there. Folate? So it wasn't sodium. There's some other nutritional benefit, I feel like, for the milk facts.
Vitamin A.
Yeah. Vitamin A.
That's the spinach, Derek.
Yep.
Work with me. The potassium of bananas.
Potassium, sure.
Protein.
Yep.
That's the eggs.
Is there a vitamin J? I feel like there was
Yes,
one
there
other.
is.
There's something else that's on the, the periodic table of things, elements, that was important. That was it. I don't know. Just drink it. It's good for you. There you go. winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Brooke, Sally, Jenny, all the great folks, including all of the dairy farmers across this great state of Indiana that make it possible for us to enjoy our ice-cold chocolate, regular, low-fat, skim, whatever it might be, milk, and all of the nutrition it provides for the kids of the state of Indiana, and the great tradition, the greatest tradition of all of sports, with the Indianapolis 500 and the swig of milk that began with Louis Meyer. I, Jake Query, would like to personally apologize for Derek taking lightly all of the great attributes that milk brings to the table.
I'm not taking it lightly at all.
It's great for you. Drink it.
It is. It's great. Well, I mean, what do you want me to say? It's fortifying my bone structure right now. I mean,
yes,
it is.
Yes.
But it just tastes great. Drink it. And it helps your muscles. I mean, proof is in the pudding.
Pudding also has milk, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't even think about it that way.
Our winner of the week, Derek.
Wabash is the winner of the week. They were down 21 donut. Things weren't looking so good.
You know what goes well with the donut?
Milk.
Yeah, milk.
Hail Our Panthers, hats off to thee. Is that what it is? Liam Thompson, who's just a sophomore at Wabash, had this stiff arm on the sideline.
Loved him in Back to the Future.
Our buddy Greg Rakestraw was on the call, and it just kind of felt like one of those, and it's weird to say, in retrospect, maybe say, well, that's easy. They came back and won. But it really did feel like something changed with that stiff arm. It really fired up the sideline. It fired up the crowd, and they're in a 3-touchdown hole, and they came all the way back, and they scored 42 of the next 49 points after that, and then ended up holding on for a touchdown win. So good for the Little Giants to salvage, like I said, a season where that's a really good program at Wabash. They expect to make the playoffs and contend in that league, and to go 6-3. I think a lot of people would say, but now that they're 7-3 with a bell win, you feel good about it.
Even for you parents at home, for your Little Giants, make sure they are drinking their milk, and they too can have the muscle flexibility of the littlest of giants.
Well, some jerk on Twitter already made that joke, so glad that you stole it.
What joke was that?
I posted a picture of myself on the sidelines and said, hey, I'm really happy to enjoy this atmosphere. And somebody said, are you the Little Giant then? Giant?
I like the person that somebody said.
Okay.
I like the person when you said, what is it that people see in Jake that no one else does? And somebody said, I don't know, the top of his head.
Top of his head. The worst.
You're very touchy.
Let's just we'll wrap up the show next.
Everything going okay at home?
Bite or bowl bleep we still have to do. We have some other things to do. Stick around or don't, whatever.
Quick hits?
It's Query and Schultz.
Somebody's sensitive.
I got a text message.
Okay.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Welcome back to Query and Schultz. Derek, I know a lot of people are planning their upcoming feast for the holiday. What better way to do it and take care of all of it than just simply smoke and barrel barbecue, right?
You could text in your pre-orders. I'm glad that you said that, Jake. You can text in your pre-orders right now up until Saturday, the 22nd, at 317-340-4502. All orders must be picked up by noon on Thanksgiving Day, but Mike and CJ can make your whole Thanksgiving table for you.
I'm going to give everybody 30 seconds to prepare yourself to write down that number, because people hear a number and they're like, oh, man, I didn't. So in 30 seconds here, I will ask. Right. No, I think my watch is – no, it's working. Derek, the number again.
Here, I'll set it on my Apple Watch, which you hate. Let me see.
Yeah, I mean, come on. This works perfectly sufficiently right here. You see it?
All right. Oh, yeah. Look at that antique watch. That's beautiful.
It's a Panerai.
All right, go.
Well, are we starting 30 from when I said it or 30 from right now?
Just,
for people to get a chance. Smoke and Barrel Barbecue, which is on the east side, established 2016. One of the great things about it, mom and pop, literally a mom and pop establishment. Family values is what you love, and, of course, the fabulous, not only the brisket tacos, but the rest of the barbecue. Derek, if people would like to text in their order for the holidays, they can do so at what number?
Good job, 28 seconds. 317-340-4502.
A little slower.
317-340-4502.
Okay.
Can I make an unpopular statement?
Yes.
Thanksgiving food is bland and it kind of sucks. So if you want food that's really good and doesn't suck at all, in fact, it's delicious, it's the best barbecue that I've ever had, go with Smokin' Barrel Barbecue. SmokinBarrelBarbecue.com as well. Just no G in smoking, just like it is in the logo. Also, I want to point out, Friday, fish fry.
Oh, really?
Yep, with Pappy, 11 to 6 until they run completely out.
Okay.
German Church Road over on the east side. Go see our friends at Smokin' Barrel Barbecue.
340-4502.
Wow. That's pretty good.
I mean, Derek.
It's crazy. You're such a failure as a student that you remembered that.
I was.
It's wild.
Yeah, I was not a great student.
That's a work ethic problem, though, I think.
Probably.
Which has become apparent in his
120 and 90.
Your blood pressure?
No? Close.
What's that?
I'm on the meds now for the blood pressure.
Well, that's true.
340. 3 times 40 is 120. 4502. 45 times 2 is 90.
Yeah. Trust me, I never want you to explain to me how your brain works. No one.
Why?
No one wants that. No one wants to go into that dark place.
It's just all over the place, right?
Really a weird place. Pacers kind of all over the place earlier on in the season. They were 1-6 at one point and the worst record in the NBA. They've now rattled off 5 wins in 7 games and a couple of impressive ones. They won at Utah to end a 4-game road trip. They beat a good Philly team. They beat a Knicks team who they're going to see tonight. We're taping this right now on Monday, and they're playing at the Garden tonight. And look, my expectations are very low for the Pacers, but I think overall, Jake, they've rebounded nicely to looking a little bit more like the Indiana Pacers that we thought we were going to see under Rick Carlisle.
There are 2 players that have really emerged for the Pacers here in the last week. And I'm not saying that these are the guys that you can ride for the entire year, but they've given them a nice lift in terms of what they want to do. T.J. McConnell, Derek, I said this earlier, and I know it sounds weird, but I was at the game on Saturday, and I made the observation, I'm like, he has the best understanding of angles of any player that I've seen in a long time. And by that I mean, like, you watch T.J. McConnell, and when he penetrates and the defense comes over, he understands the exact angle to, like, loft the ball up off the glass for a bank shot, or the exact perfect angle to get a pass through to Miles Turner underneath. Or when the ball is carrying off the glass, he knows the angle that it's moving in order to get to it. He just seems to always be in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
And McConnell's playing at a very good level right now and has given them a real lift. The other player that has really played well for the Pacers is Keelan Martin, who I think has, at least now, moved past Jeremy Lamb in the rotation and probably made Jeremy Lamb expendable if Kevin Pritchard wants to do something before the trade deadline in terms of that contract. And I like Jeremy Lamb. And I think he's a good teammate and a good locker room guy and a good player. But Keelan Martin seems to bring energy more so at both ends of the floor as opposed to just an offensive mind. I think Carlisle is starting to figure out what his rotation is, shorten it a little bit, and they're playing well.
Yeah, Miles Turner as well on the defensive side of things. But we kind of know – what's weird to me, Jake, is that people still act like Miles Turner's in his 7th NBA season. So whatever he is now is what he's going to be. Like I think people keep acting like Miles Turner should be this, so they get angry about it. And to me, if you just accept Miles Turner for who he is, a good NBA player, who every once in a while can go off offensively, but for the most part that's not his game. But he brings you solid to very good defense every single night, and I don't think he's going to be DPOY, but I think he's going to
DPOY.
Yeah, I think he is going to make all defense, which is an honor that he deserves now. He's now established himself as an all defense type player. But I think you like what you're getting there, too.
The Pacers, of course, coached by Rick Carlisle, who has been here before. He is a familiar name and face to the franchise, which segues perfectly to our winner of the Sage Move of the Week, brought to you each and every week by WGU Indiana. WGU is Indiana's largest online accredited university. So whether you want to go back to school to finish a degree you left in the balance, maybe you want a new degree, or you are simply now entering the arena of a post-secondary education, WGU is the place for you because ambition never rests and you can work on your schedule. WGU.edu/Indiana. And Derek Sage, of course, their mascot, because owls, head on a swivel, nocturnal, always looking towards the next thing and very wise. Our Sage Move of the Week, speaking of names and players that are familiar to the atmosphere where they are now playing and being brought back to familiar territory, it happened in the NFL with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, he didn't start, but how about Cam Newton coming back to the Panthers and scoring the first 2 tuds of the game in an upset win over Arizona? So tud run, tud throw for Cam. and he screamed into the camera, "I'm back," and it was a cool moment, I think.
His first 2 touches of the ball, right?
Yeah.
As you mentioned.
It was a cool moment because those are 2 – they decided that their whatever run they were going to have had ended a couple of years ago, and both went their separate ways. And as they went their separate ways, both kind of realized, hey, wait a minute. Did you ever get back with an ex-girlfriend?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I hate to say this,
Yeah.
but I mean, Shannon, who I'm with now, we had a little time apart.
That's true. Actually, yeah, Ashley and I broke up
Yeah.
and then got back together. I think she kind of recognized pretty early on what I was destined for and wanted to hop on that.
Okay.
But so we both have experience with this where you think to yourself, okay, this is fine. Like, and neither of them were bad
Panthers-
circumstances.
The
really.
Panthers are hoping, Derek, that it turns out as well with them with Cam Newton as it did for the 2 of us.
I mean,
right?
I know way too much about your personal life, but neither of those circumstances were like bad situations. It was just, hey, we should probably just move on from this whole thing. But then you realize at the end of the day, wait a minute, we're better together.
Right.
And I think that's what the Panthers and I think Cam too kind of realized that because that was a really rocky year for him in New England.
Yeah, not good.
It got off to a nice start, but then it just kind of quickly
Was he only
went
away
downhill.
1 year?
I think that's right. Yeah. Nick Yeoman would know. He's probably yelling at his screen right now.
Nick's still yelling, keep pounding. Okay, Derek, you want to get to some quick hits?
Yeah. Oh, I thought that was the next segment. It is, isn't it? Did you have that wrong?
I haven't. No.
Yeah,
I don't,
quick hits and bite or bull bleep is the last segment of the show.
Which is the segment we're in.
No, we have one more. We have
No,
one
we
more to
don't.
get to. We have one more break.
Derek, we just went over this at the beginning of the show. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You said 7.
Jordan, I'm right, right? We have one more break.
But how many? Okay,
5. This is segment 4.
I have it right here. Segment 4, and then that includes quick hits and bite or bowl bleep.
Well, I noticed they don't let you run the ends of the radio show. Maybe this is why. Which is something that I argued for years, and they said, nope, Jake's going to lead your show. It's Query and Schultz.
Yeah, well,
And I put up with it, and this is what you get.
Uh-huh.
107.5, The Fans got it right. To not let you in control of that, because you don't know what day it is.
I don't
Much less what segment it is.
I don't wake up till 9:30.
Well, that's a problem, too. We'll come back and wrap up the show with our final segment next. Quick hits, bite or bowl bleep, as we bid you adieu in episode 61 of
Bid
Give It
you adieu.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Welcome back. This is indeed the last segment of Query and Schultz today.
It might be the last segment ever, right?
Contrary to what you may have been told in the penultimate segment of the show.
By the way, we haven't even mentioned the fact, Derek, that this is episode number
61.
And that means that it comes with the one word that I can't say in the English language.
Levon Hernandez?
No.
That's what I was going to go with episode 61.
Roger Maris.
You can't say, you just said Roger Maris.
When Roger, okay, what was the movie that Billy Crystal did about Roger Maris? What was it called?
61, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
But what What's the
asterisk?
my open disclaimer, I'm 49 years old. I was like, well, two things. I just learned, I was 49 years old when I figured out that, have you seen the play Little Orphan Annie?
Yeah, of
The
course.
movie?
I mean, my mom was into all that
Right.
stuff, so I've seen all that stuff.
I was 49 before I figured out that Daddy Warbucks was named Daddy Warbucks because it was somebody who profited and made a bunch of money off the war.
Yeah.
I never
World War I, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
how'd you know that?
That's common knowledge.
Yeah.
If you're into Broadway like I am,
You're looking
then-
at my Twitter account,
yeah.
obviously. But I also never realized that I always thought it was I always said asterisk. Or no, asterisk. I always said asterisk.
Because the first way you said it, I think, was right.
Yeah, asterisk is correct. But I always thought it was asterisk. Yeah, I put an asterisk next to it.
Yeah. R-I-K instead of R-risk.
Correct. Asterisk.
Yeah.
But this is episode number 61. Time now for Bite or Bull, Schultz. You want to do quick hits first or Bite or Bull?
No, let's
first?
do quick hits first.
All right, we'll do
because
quick
we
hits
always
first.
end on Bite or
Then
Bull.
we'll do Bite or Bull,
I don't know
which
why
is brought to
he's
you by
involved
The
with
Shop Indy, theshopindy.com, and on Broad Ripple Avenue in Clay Terrace. But
Did
first
you
we'll begin
know
with
that
quick
the IU women basketball team is ranked 7th in the country?
hits. 8th, according to the little thing on ESPN when I was watching it.
Don't you dare correct me.
Against
never
number
on the show.
13 Kentucky, who they defeated, I believe, by 23, right?
Am I going to do quick hits, or do you want to do quick hits?
What was the final in that game? I thought it was 88-65.
Oh, I forgot. You host a daily radio show now, so you actually have to semi-pay attention to stuff that's
No,
going on.
what was the final?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Okay.
Washington football has fired. It was going to be the quick hit was congratulations to the IU women. Impressive win. At least somebody plays Kentucky still. Washington has fired Jimmy Lake halfway through his second season. Huskies never got back off the ground under his watch. He had a report of a physical altercation with a player, and it was just kind of a mess. He made some weird comment about how they don't recruit against Oregon because they're a great academic institution, so they only recruit against like Notre Dame and stuff. And people at Notre Dame were like, "What? Washington? Why would Washington and Notre Dame compete for the same level?"
You know what's
of athlete?"
odd? There's a body of water that Husky Stadium, or whatever the stadium's called.
It is called Husky Stadium, I think.
Okay. If you're at the top of the stadium, you can see a body of water. It is not the Pacific Ocean. It is Lake Washington.
Huh.
So it's kind of weird that Washington got rid of the lake.
Yeah. Washington's kind of one of those programs where they've burned white hot for like a 3 to 5 year period multiple times.
Correct.
And then when they're off, they're off. Like they're completely out of
You're
like
right.
remember Washington made the playoffs like a
I
couple
know.
of years ago. It wasn't that long
They
ago.
made it the first time that I think Clemson's first go around, right?
That sounds right.
It
2015?
was Alabama blew Washington out of the building, but it was
Yeah.
Alabama, Washington, Clemson, and Oklahoma, I think. Right?
Clemson played Oklahoma one of those years?
Oh, they blew them out. We were on the air.
Wow.
Don't
I
you remember?
remember that Oklahoma got blown out a couple of times, but I guess I didn't remember that Clemson was one of them.
Yeah.
And then Clemson blew out Ohio State that other time.
Correct.
And then they should have lost to them in 2019, but didn't. Couple of calls that went their way.
You wanna say
It
so?
was in the bag for Clemson, I thought.
Okay.
Jimmy Lake's owed $10 million, by the way.
Okay,
and
so
the,
in other words, the University of Washington, with their buyouts, a school that played for and won tied a national championship in 1990 and made the college football player within the last 5 years, the buyout for their coach, 1/3, 33%, 1/3 the amount of the buyout for the head football coach at Indiana University.
91 for Washington, right? And 90 for
91.
Colorado, Georgia Tech.
I think that's right. Yeah. Sorry.
But Washington also shared it, right? 91, Miami? Washington,
That's
Miami
right.
shared?
And then Steve Entman was the number one player picked in the 92 draft.
I know people don't like the college football playoff the way it was. If you were a kid of the 90s like I was, Michigan, Nebraska, oh, they're split. Like, it was so stupid.
Yeah, no argument.
In 94, when Penn State had to play Oregon and they were undefeated in the Rose Bowl, and then
Right.
Nebraska won, and then they're like, well, Nebraska's the champ. And I'm like, Penn State's undefeated. Like, why wouldn't they get a
And
share?
Penn State was undefeated and was also scoring like 74 points
Yeah,
a game.
because Carter and Kerry Collins and all those guys. I mean, it was really, really weird.
Kajana, by the way.
They had a receiver that was good, too.
Bobby Ingram,
Yeah.
Joe Juravicius.
Yeah. See, well, this is right in your 1994 sports knowledge
I
wheelhouse.
took Swahili at Indiana University. I was relatively fluent in Swahili, as a matter of fact, and I can tell you that Kijana means little baby in Swahili.
all those guys. Curtis Enos,
Yep.
Blair Thomas,
DJ
Kajana
Dozier.
Carter. I mean, all those guys were huge NFL flops.
Yeah.
All those running backs that they ended up having. Finally, the U.S. men's national team beat Mexico, swept the year. So three matches.
Can we just say they beat
wins,
them 2-0?
2-0.
2-0.
Amazing win, 2-0.
Okay, just 2-0, 2-zip.
No, that's not what you say when you play Mexico. That's not what you say.
Let's go to Biter Bowl.
2-0. And it was in Cincinnati. Full crowd as well. So USA are victorious.
Okay.
USA win.
Okay.
That's how you can say it too. 2-0. You ready for Biter Bowl Bleep?
See.
Let's go. Here's what we do with Biter Bowl Bleep. I've given a statement. Jake and I go back and forth whether we bite or we think it's Bowl Bleep. It's brought to you by The Shop. TheShopIndy.com. Also, Clay Terrace and Broad Ripple Avenue for their brick-and-mortar locations. Get those orders in now. I don't know about you. I've been, real worried about Christmas stuff getting to us. So we basically have done all of our Christmas shopping.
Literally go into the shop.
Yeah.
Walk into the brick and mortar and say hello. Great
anything
folks.
that we could get here, we got here. And anything else that we needed shipped, we've already had shipped.
And it's a super cool, the store itself is just cool, right? I mean, the cool ambiance and
they have old
decorations
photos and starting lineup figurines and old posters.
Everything about
it
it's
is cool. Statement 1, Kwity Paye will be the star pass rusher that the Colts have been pining for.
I buy that. I think they're going to have a nice 1-2 combo with he and Dio, which, by the way, I think people say because his last name is confusing. But, yes, I think Kwity Paye is going to be a nice player.
It's just Odengbo, right?
I think that's right.
Yeah. But it's Dio and not Deo, as
Correct.
it's spelled. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Star, I don't know.
Do you know that other song?
What the Colts really need. I do know that one, yeah. From going to sporting events, I know that one. I do think Kwity Paye will at least be a competent.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about the Colts is that I don't need somebody to be Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis. I just need you to be good enough to play.
Darius Leonard, by the way, yesterday.
The Colts haven't even had that at pass rush.
Darius Leonard yesterday passed Robert Mathis on the all-time career tackles list for the Colts. But
given the positions,
one's a linebacker, one's a defensive.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Statement 2. Ooh, this is complicated. Undefeated Cincinnati will not make the playoff over one-loss Big Ten, one-loss Big 12 champions or Oregon. Biter Bowl Bleep.
That is Schultz because wait a minute. One loss Ohio State. Okay.
One-loss Ohio. A one-loss Big Ten champion would get in over Cincinnati. I think we'd all agree.
Ohio State
right?
is in.
Well, but I think one-loss Michigan, if they beat Ohio State and won the Big Ten, one-loss Michigan would be in the playoff.
Okay.
And I think Michigan State too. They actually really like Michigan State.
So you said one-loss Big Ten.
I think a one-loss Big Ten team a one-loss Big 12 team.
Okay, disagree there. Who's it going to be?
Oklahoma or Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma or Oklahoma State has zero chance now. If Cincinnati holds serve, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State have zero chance of being in above Cincinnati.
They play each other, so that's a quality
zero
win right there.
Of being in.
A Big 12 championship game.
Big 12 is out.
I don't agree with that. You know me, I'm not a Big 12 defender. I do not think that the Big 12's out. I don't think the Big 12's out.
Big 12's out.
I don't.
Let me tell you right now. I said when they lost to Oregon, what did I say about Ohio State?
Well, they run the table.
Ohio State is going to win the national championship.
That's strong, huh? I'm not ready to go there.
Okay.
Gun to my head today, I think they make the playoff. Offensively, they're really good. Defensively, they're rough.
Doesn't matter.
They've got their 2 toughest games left the next 2 weeks.
Ohio State will win the national championship. Mark the tape.
I mean, Ohio State's best win is Penn State. Penn State, everybody's beaten Penn State.
Ohio State will win the national championship.
Penn State's one of those teams like Auburn is this team where every single year it's like, oh, why is this team so highly ranked? Oh, well, they beat Auburn. Everybody beat Auburn. Well, they beat Penn State. Everybody beat Penn State this year. Penn State never actually wins any of those games.
Mm-hmm. Buckeyes, national
and
champs.
Oregon. Oregon, I think, would be safely in if they ran the table, just because they're already up there. You know,
and they will have one. They will be the only team to have defeated the national champion.
Yeah. You know who's? It's still going to take a ton of chaos, and I don't think that the committee wants to put them in, nor probably should they. But they're playing really well. They're just not beating anybody because their schedule has kind of crumpled in front of them. But, Notre Dame,
I get you.
it's not beyond the realm of comprehension that they could get in the playoff.
But here is,
whereas 2 weeks ago it was.
Here is Notre Dame's issue, the challenge Notre Dame's going to have. And I don't want Notre Dame fans jumping all over me here, okay? The only real test on Notre Dame's schedule, they lost.
Yeah, you're right. The best thing about Notre Dame's resume is a loss. And when that happens,
Correct.
Usually the committee doesn't kind of favor
What's
that.
their best win?
Wisconsin. It's
That's
aged
good.
well.
I mean, that's good, yeah.
And the Purdue win is actually kind of aged
Yeah,
well
that's
as
not
a
bad.
fringe top 25 sort of team. But, they got North Carolina, who they thought was going to be good and
They're
wasn't. USC, who they thought was going to be good, and then Virginia without their quarterback this week. But, man, they've now won 23 straight regular season ACC games. They've won 40 in a row against unranked opponents. Again, look, I get Notre Dame's not Alabama and Ohio State, but look at Texas right now. Look at Florida.
Hey,
look
how
at
about-
Nebraska. Look at Miami. Look at Tennessee.
Derek,
I mean, there are
do you
much
realize-
worse places to be than where
Do you
Notre Dame
realize
is right
Kansas went into Texas and won
Yeah.
in overtime? Kansas had not won. Do you realize that the last time Kansas won a road
now.
conference
I know.
game,
I saw this stat, and I was blown away.
George Bush was the president of the United States.
2008. Yeah. Isn't that wild?
It might have even been before Barack Obama had been elected president.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what portion of the season that was.
I think it was
right?
October. I think it was October of 08.
Then it would have been. Because it was the election 08, and then he was inaugurated in January of 09. But
I mean, that's insanity.
yeah. I mean, it's a new low for Texas. Texas football should never, ever lose.
Totally
it's like
agree.
Oklahoma against Iowa State. Like, no offense to Iowa State, like our buddy Rob Lynch, Iowa State grad and all that. There are some programs that
Lisa,
should never
our friend
lose
Lisa's an
to
Ohio State
other,
grad, or Iowa State grad.
other programs.
No, I hear you.
There's just no reason for it. The last 4 weeks of fall are the absolute worst. Buy it or bowl bleep.
I get so tired every year of anybody who's not from Indiana making the joke. Oh, I guess I enjoyed the 4 days of summer, of fall.
I
yeah.
make that joke all the time.
So did Adam Wren. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's not as beautiful as Ohio and Connecticut. I get it. This time of year sucks. Yeah.
I actually felt like the Leaves hung on. They got knocked down over the weekend.
This year,
with rain.
the colors were really
but
nice.
they were way late. I think that's the Leaves didn't turn until like
correct
October 20th or something. It felt like, but I felt like the colors were pretty nice this year, comparatively speaking.
I look forward to the Drumstick Dash to benefit Wheeler Mission. Drumstickdash.org, I think, is the website. And I do enjoy Thanksgiving. I think COVID restrictions are, again, limiting the Query Thanksgiving fee. Usually we just open it up to anybody from out of town. Probably not doing that this year, but I do enjoy Thanksgiving. And then, Derek, I'm old. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, at least once a week, I like to go to Castleton Square and just walk around the wall. Hear the Salvation Army bell, see the decorations, hear the Christmas lights. It makes me feel like a kid again.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I was in. Well, actually, no. I went to Fashion Mall. I go there.
What do you get there?
We went and got a cast iron pan at Williams Sonoma, right?
Okay.
We had a Pottery Barn gift card, and it translates over because they're a sister company.
Okay.
And as I was
All
checking
that
out,
for your new
the
kitchen?
person said, "Your voice sounds familiar."
Yeah,
And
sure.
I said, "Yeah, does it? I mean, I hear that a lot." And he said, "You're on the radio, or you were on the radio." And I said, "Yes, we're past tense." And we talked a little while about the show. Your buddy's back on, ain't he? Yeah, he's back on. He's with me too. ISC Sports Network every Monday at 7:30, Comcast 81,
Right.
and all that. But he didn't seem interested in this version of the show,
That's right.
unfortunately.
I am big, Derek, with the kitchen utensil selling crowd.
Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Unfortunately, the show got cut off last week, so we weren't able to thank everybody in the last minute of the program.
And we did thank them.
But
It just got cut off.
we did, yes, factually.
Okay, we'll just go back and forth. Okay, we'll do like categories like when you're in college.
All right.
Chateau Kitchens,
The Shop Indy.
Love Heating and Air Conditioning,
American Dairy Association, Indiana.
Bailey and Wood, your mortgage leader in a snap.
Smoke and Barrel Barbecue. I'm CU.
Did you say the American Dairy Association?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm CU.
Indiana Members Credit Union.
Is that it?
I believe that's. Oh no, WGU Indiana.
Yeah, there you go.
WGU Indiana.
And our friends at Only Indy Tickets, too. There's no Colts home game this week, so we didn't mention them for a ticket plug. But they're on board with us.
TheShopIndy.com.
That's right.
All right.
This was a good show. Felt good about it. We might have to edit some of the Motel Hi-Ho stuff and grab that, but overall, I thought a pretty good show.
All right.
We'll see you next week for a Thanksgiving episode of Query and
Gobble,
Schultz,
gobble.
episode 62 here on ISC Sports Network. Have a great week, you guys.